1, full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, indeed it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow in Pit Lane's weekly get-together, where we sit around and we have a bit of a chat about the weekend just passed in local and international motorsport. My name is Brett Ramsey. I'm sitting here and I am joined once again. It's a small group tonight. Pete is on assignment. We're not sure where Richard is at the moment. He's somewhere out. He's somewhere out in purple bunyip country. But joining us once again, we've got Craig Doc Latigo, and all the way from Queensland we have none other than Mark Jones. Good day, guys. How are we?
Hey, Brady boy. Good morning. Welcome back, MJ, and hello to Knackers, who was right in the buzzer before we even started talking.
Well, it's good. We like a good, fast, clean start.
Yeah. Hey, Brett. Hey, Doc. I've been a bit ill lately, so I've only just got my voice back basically today. So pardon any huskiness I come up with over the course.
It sounds sexy. I mean, that's it. I mean, you could go into the whole phone sex thing with that voice now at the moment.
He's either talking horse or giraffe, because giraffe seems to be the stride of the day.
I'm not a tall person. I'm not a giraffe.
No, there's a newborn that's been released. It's got all the footage from the zoo today. You know what happens? It's when you get newborns at the zoo are always great colour photo opportunities.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, that it's like it's a slow news day. Oh, hang on, is there anything from the zoo?
Is there a baby animal somewhere?
A baby animal somewhere? Yeah, as long as people will always watch, baby animals and trains crashing and.
Hey, you reckon that's why the band chose the name, so they would always get attention, even if it was just people hoping for a quokka or a koala?
Especially nowadays. I noticed that last weekend actually, because I missed it. My local, the local cinema here in Dandenong, the Reedy Cinema, they had on the big screen, like screening all weekend, the Festival of Cat Videos.
No, don't go there. You'll end up in an absolute hole that goes all the way to China. While you're putting the 3-shot on, Brett, for the three of us, I will mention a funny little excerpt from Channel 7 a few weeks ago. The weekend news presenter, not Jane Bunn, who's obviously everyone knows who Jane Bunn is after all these years. They've got a girl that does things. Anyway, they do the bright side or some little skit at the end of it sometimes, and they do pet of the week as well though too. Anyway, the girl, they do because they switch between cats and dogs and all that sort of guinea pigs or whatever it may be. Rabbits even jump on, that too. But one for Brett. But they were doing a pet of the week, whatever it is, and. The girl who does the weather did the pet of the week, and they obviously go to the Lost Dogs Home or wherever it may be. Cut the long story short, she goes, and there you go. That's pet of the week, and it might be Rusty, whoever it is, it's the two weekend news presenters. They didn't turn the microphones off like they do sometimes, and they went, "That's another one for you, such and such," and she goes, "Oh, what have I got now? 3 dogs, 2 cats, a rabbit."
She's got a menagerie.
Yeah, got a whole petting zoo.
It's easy to get go. I actually was in a pet store today, and they had the cat for adoption. It was a gorgeous cat, and if I'd have, under normal circumstances, and if I'd have had the money and all the rest of it, I'd have bought the most beautiful looking little cat. And there was this guy walked up and was looking at the thing and going, "Oh," he said, "What a beautiful cat! I'd love that cat." And I said, "Yeah," I said, I'd like it too, but I can't really, I don't have the resources." And he said, "Yeah," he said, "I'd like it, but I've got 12 already." So you heard of crazy cat ladies. This was a crazy cat guy.
Imagine the smell coming when he opens those windows in summer.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, let's get away from cats and move on to talk on to categories. And the first category, of course,
Let's just change that third letter there in cat to an R.
To an R. And we've got We've got Formula One. Lando Norris returned to the winners list on the weekend after a split strategy from McLaren paid out on his side. I've seen a lot of people complaining, saying, "Oh, it wasn't fair to Oscar. This is yet another case of, McLaren, favouring Lando over
No.
Oscar, and got that." But I think, if you've got two cars and you've got the opportunity where you've got two possible strategies, and you've got three results that come out of it. Either one strategy is right and one is wrong, or both strategies are wrong. But in which case, if you've got two cars and you can put them on different strategies, that makes an awful lot of sense to me. And it's just on this occasion, it paid off for Lando. Mark, what do you think?
Brett?
Well, Lando got a poor.
So the third strategy is when they hit each other, but fortunately that didn't happen.
That's not a strategy.
It almost
That's
did, but no.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Lando didn't get the best of starts. He got buried in the field a little bit. Ended up fourth or fifth in the opening couple of laps, and it looked like he was going to be. He might struggle to clear. The cars in, I think it was George Russell and Leclerc in front of him by the end of the race, and so they decided, well, look, we'll try a one stop and maybe it'll work, and it turned out that it did, because the race chill, like they were anticipating a hot race, and it got overcast and actually rained just a tiny little bit on the Sunday. So the race was a lot cooler than expected, and that brought the one-stop strategy back into play again. It was slightly unexpected, and Lando was, I guess, in a lucky position there that in order to get him out of the position, they were able to try a different strategy that wasn't in play the previous day, and it worked quite well for him. It's just unfortunate for Oscar that it worked too well for Lando and not well enough. I mean, it was a fantastic race otherwise. Like, we had the two of them coming together, right? Like, Oscar was hunting him down, and we had 3 or 4 laps right at the end of the race where Oscar was attacking. But we've seen at the Hungaroring so many times that on occasion you can block for 70 laps at the Hungaroring and win a race.
Dutifully, I forgot number 4 strategy too. Just quickly again, it's the Charles Leclerc strategy where no one listens to me and no one does what I want them to do.
He's becoming wonderful value, isn't he? Listening to his radio. I mean, if you had nothing else, I mean, you could just sort of tune into the Ferrari to Charles radio, and you would get an absolute 2 hours of wonderful entertainment.
And then toss in, for a little bit of spice and variety, a couple of lines from Lewis Hamilton where he's
after race or pre-race stuff. Yeah, just insert it in between.
No, I mean, during the race we saw on this race uncharacteristically Hamilton buried almost at the back of the field, and he's sounding, and instead of having a temper tantrum that he may have had in the past, he sounded quite despondent.
Oh, in the past, would you like me to let them pass me as well too?
It was a weird look for a 7-time world champion to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting at the end of
mid race.
It's going to be interesting at the end of the year. I mean, in terms of, if he keeps losing, because he's got nothing more to, yes, of course he'd like the 8th championship and get ahead of Schumacher, but I mean, realistically, he might just be starting to get to the point where it's like, oh, really? Do I need to go through all this again?
I sent you to a private message about a week ago, even before the Hungaroring, about Lulu and what would happen if these results keep on going throughout the rest of the year, and what will happen next year. I sent you to a private message even about this subject. There you go. And so far, it hasn't changed my prediction yet.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Ferrari have obviously come out and been very firm and saying no, he's our man, and Fred has got Fred's got. There's been a show of faith in him as well. Frederick Vasseur has been basically told, "No, you are the man," because the Italian media in particular have been very, very keen to. They've been sort of hopping into him more than Melbourne have been hopping into Simon Goodwin. So I think that.
Yeah, it was one of the better press conferences today. There's been a lot worse.
It was an interesting one. For there, I was listening to it as I was out driving home, and they
Look at the
cut live
Jim's
to it.
look
So
the Jim Steins one the other years and years ago when they put Bailey on show after they took all the media wall down. They did the press conference. I saw the highlights on this tonight. Just quickly off the subject, because Brett brought it up. Well, years ago, Jim Steins, bless his soul, but he and the CEO made a very big mistake that day by announcing they're sacking the coach Bailey, doing all the media wall behind him, walking away from the table, taking all the Melbourne stuff media away, then sending Bailey out and sending him up under the coals and making him admit that he was tanking and putting players out in the field in the wrong position so they could get draft picks. That was one of the worst press conferences ever.
yeah,
Mind you, I did see on two separate occasions, Billy Brownless and Mal Meninga, both attempting to start political careers, and by the end of that by the end of their announcement press conference, they were done.
but
Billy still stutters.
Mel's was a classic one because he didn't even get started. It was like I've got nothing. He was gone.
Yep.
He was out the door already. So but nonetheless.
Anyhow.
Anyway, let's get back onto Formula One. So we go into the summer break now with Oscar currently ahead of by 9
Oh,
points.
I think there's a bit of a race we can talk about. The Williams weren't as hot as what we thought. Gabriel Bortoletto is still shining. He's doing really well. He's punching above his weight still with the state.
It's interesting that none other than Bernie Eccleston is sort of saying that he is the new Golden. Basically he's keep an eye on him as far as Bernie's concerned. He's the future Golden Boy. I mean, along with Piastri, and he's sort of saying, look, he's the future. I mean, if we're looking for the new generation, the next generation coming through, he's the standout as far as Bernie's concerned. So he's done very very well, considering, of course, the team he's with as well. And when you consider that team is going to become full on Audi next year,
also
that's pretty impressive. That could be very impressive because Audi have got such an incredible reputation for success in all forms of motorsport, and in particular, their engine division was, of course, legendary in sports car racing over the years. I mean, they never failed to finish a Le Mans 24-hour race. They never had an engine failure. In terms of mechanical failure, they never had an engine failure. So let's see what they can produce next year and into the future. But if I was investing in Bortoletto, then I think he's someone to look out for.
Don't want to harp on it too much or extenuate it with you guys, but Mad Max is cooler Max at the moment because he's dispelled all the rumours and said he's going to stick it out and
he's got what he wanted.
Sort it out and give 2026 a chance. And then there's also what was the other news? It was
the interesting thing for Max. Let's stick with Max for a moment. It's Max has basically come out publicly and said we can't win another race this year. We've got and Red Bull have come out very firmly and said yes we can. We can, and we are intending to win a race. Don't write us off. Max was a bit disappointed from the weekend, but we're intending to win races again.
That could be racing balls they're talking about.
No, this was Max. Max was very clear. Once again, Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar.
Laurie did well.
Yeah, they both did quite well over the weekend. It's interesting also with Red Bull that Zach Brown, no love lost between him and Christian Horner came out and said that basically Formula One is a much better place, or as he said, a healthier place.
That's the second big Christian bombshell
Horner.
But Brett, look. Okay, let's put in perspective. Zach, pull your head in, smarten up. I thought you're a bloody CEO of a company. You're getting paid billions of dollars a year. That includes your bonuses and your paper bags and stuff. he's really taken the chance to stick the bloody knife in the backers or whatever all the press is call it, because he knows as well as everybody else, is like the three of us and everyone listening to us and watching us right now, and all the other millions that watch all the podcasts and vlogs and YouTubes and stuff like that. Christian Horner will be back in Formula One at some stage in the near future. So, and Zach even knows that, and he's still throwing out one-liners, smart-ass ones, while he's on the ground. So, yeah, you just want to be careful it doesn't come back and bite him down the track.
Once again, Bernie Eccleston has come out and said very firmly that he believes that Christian Horner will be back basically as soon as they sort out, because he's still an employee of Red Bull, so they've got to sort out all of that first. But once he's no longer, depending on what the conditions are, once again, Bernie has been very keen saying Bernie knows Christian very well. They've known each other for years. Christian, Bernie is saying very firmly that Christian's plan is to get back into Formula One sooner rather than later, and preferably as a team owner or in some sort of senior ownership position. And you'd have to think that under those circumstances, somebody like Alpine would be the case.
Could be anyone. There's been worse characters that have been booted from it. And if Zach doesn't be careful, there is Flavio's one that's came back after all these years. So there's one. But you watch, I've got a very strong comment here. Zach, be very careful because it'll come back and bite your tattooed ass.
Well, yes, we know why you got the tattoo. And
that's what I said. It'll come back and bite his tattooed ass. If Christian will. Anyway.
But Ferrari was interesting. The stuff that Charles Leclerc was going on about, sort of saying, it was basically, there must have been something going on, and we still don't know what it is, but there must have been something going on beforehand where there's been a disagreement between the team and the driver, and Charles is saying, you didn't listen to me. Why didn't you listen to me?
Yeah.
But I could have, but since then he's come out and said, no, look, that wasn't what I thought was the problem. Wasn't the problem? It was something totally different, and they're describing it as a. Well, they're not describing it. They're saying it's a mystery. What do they say? A mystery, an as yet unresolved and an undiscovered chassis issue, which hampered. So whatever that means, who knows? But
where's that red? I can't find my red bullshit button somewhere. Where is it? Somewhere. It makes a loud noise when you hit it.
Anyway, while we're into it, let's welcome some of the regulars again. Paul Van Acker is with us once again. Good day to Knackers. Good day to Box again. Jimmy K63 is with us once again as well. We'll put him there. Bring him up. Also, I saw Phil with us. And he's with us. He was up at Winton on the weekend for the Winton Historics, which seemed to go very well. I watched a little bit of the coverage. The bit I saw, possibly the less said about it, the better. But never mind.
I saw most of Saturday. The Porsche 944 race at the end of the day was an absolute cracker.
I saw your post. So you need to explain your post. It was just one sentence, about 5 words. Go for it, Jonesy.
Well, that's borrowing a phrase from our friends and colleagues over in the V8 Sleuth world. How they were doing did a little bit of a podcast during the week, and the 944 Cup in Victoria came up, and the boys described the 944 Cup as German HQs, but it was an absolute cracking race. We had it's slipping out of my head the names of the drivers involved, but we had 6 drivers going at it for the win at various points. There was, I think, 3 separate incidents at the turn 1-2 chicane there at Winton, where where we had the 2 championship leaders take each other out going through turns 1 and 2. One of the black car who is not Cameron Bella at the top of the point score, slid into him with a lockup on entry into turn one, and that took both of them off the track. We then had a couple of two pairs fighting over the front of the over first and then third. And then with only a couple of laps to go, the battle for third and fourth took each other off the circuit at turn one in almost exactly the same manner. It was, and then we had a great battle for the win between the two remainder at the front of the field. It was just an enjoyable race to watch. There was some interesting stuff going on in the heritage touring cars, historic touring cars as well. There was Group S, historic prod sports. So and of course a couple of mixed bag categories of compressing, the usual bunch of groups J, K, L,
MMP,
together, and then OPQR of open wheels.
gradually associated about docious.
Yeah. And there was there was also a not a regularity, a sprint for a mixed bag of old supercars. I think we had a Super Tourer show up in.
Wasn't there Formula V's up there as well too?
Formula Fords were.
Formula Fords. I knew it was one of the open wheelers. Yep.
Yeah.
We also had the historic sports sedans.
Yes, Group
running
U.
Around, running around. Once again, not racing. They've pretty much decided because they've opened up to a lot of cars that I think it's really sensible what they've done, because they basically said, Motorsport Australia and the Historic Racing Commission have essentially put such restrictions on the Group U regulations that it's very, very hard for a lot of these, because of the nature of sports stands, it's very hard for them to get certificates of recognition, just to sort of say that these are the original cars. And in some cases, they're not like the Tomo, the replica of Brian Thompson's Volkswagen. It's a recreation. So I think that...
what do they call it in Europe? Continuation vehicle?
Yeah, I think they've got a... It's funny because John Bowe, of course, was in the Nurburgring. Unfortunately, John Bowe had... And that was an amazing... I mean, that was what I watched a lot of on the weekend. To watch, to watch about half a dozen... Yeah, in German, and watching a whole bunch of Zach Speed Capris, running around was pretty... And the Formula One... The historic Formula One, the Master Series, was just... the lineup there was just astonishing. But yeah, so John unfortunately had some problems over the course of the weekend.
Yeah. I don't think they had wets or something, and it rained.
Yeah, they had some engine problems as well. John thought that he'd actually missed a gear or something, but they found out later that there were other problems associated with the engine, which caused him problems. But he was sort of he raised the fact that. So many of the cars there, like a big percentage of the cars are actually either, are recreations or continuations. And he was saying, and of course, a lot of the locals go, oh, that's an outrage and all that. But the thing is, if my idea behind it, and I've always said is, if you can prove that the original car does not exist anymore, like the Thompson Volkswagen or the Gardner Corvair, or say a particular Formula 5000, like the ex-John Cannon March, if you can say, look, this car simply does not exist, it has gone to God, it is no more, it has ceased to be, this is an ex-parrot, then you can go out and you should be able to go out and say, okay, we're going to do a logbooked recreation. It will be faithful to the technology and the design of the day, but the problem is they've just got to do one, because I've already heard that apparently there are another, possibly up to 2 Brian Thompson Volkswagens being built, and another and 2. There's a bit of a race, but for 2 Corvairs coming in there as well, which would be crazy.
There's about 5 Brock A40s.
Yeah, and there's also there was one race I saw where there were basically 4 Moffat Mustangs floating around. So just pick one. Just say, okay, That car no longer exists, so this is going to be the officially recognised recreation. And just put it like they do in a lot of Europe. They just put a small R on the on the number, just next to the number, to just say, okay,
Oh
this
yeah,
is
that
not
one
the
doesn't count.
original, but it's just this is a recreation, and I think that would be good because you want to see those cars. I mean, I'm just delighted that we see the Volt. I never thought I'd see that car again, obviously, and to get out there and see it actually out on the track running around, and that's that's
Oh,
fantastic,
one of the other cars that surprised me running around at Winton was a Dick Johnson XE Greenstuff Falcon, and
Yeah,
apparently it was genuine.
Yes, it's a
And
genuine one.
genuine with the
yeah.
asterisk on it because it
Yes.
was the Andrew Harris Channel 9 Mike Walsh show Falcon that was repainted into Dick Johnson after the Dick Johnson Greenstuff car after the Greenstuff
So
Mark 1 was
remember the
destroyed in
story. So there was a big.
Party Zeros at Forest
There's
Hill there.
been social media posts of it. So remember, the original one was on the Win the Rock blow, all that sort of stuff. What was the other guy that was racing on the weekend? Gave him his car, and they completely changed the car into a Dick Johnson car overnight
It was
for the
more
race.
complicated
Remember?
than that
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Donated the
basically it
car.
was
So that is the original car. But what they've done is what was left of the car. They've done it. So they've moved on. But yeah, look, yeah. Going back to what Brett just said a minute ago, I'm not going to go on for 2 or 3 minutes about it. But the trouble is, though, there's millions of people that live in this world around in life. There's people who've got resources and money and stuff like that, and they all got fond memories and may have some relationship with the car at some stage. And they're all just trying to have a go at building it. So, I know you don't like 10 of them being made or 3 or whatever it is, but unfortunately, people, etc. Just a quick hello as well, though, too. I was watching it. Thank you for the correction. I think Phil said to me I was right. There was Formula V's, the historic ones up there as well. So I stand corrected rightly. Hello to Roy. Roy's put a couple of things up there. And a good evening to Mad Cow, one of our regulars as well, too. So there you go.
Yeah, Roy's pointing out that the A3 is the original, apart from the one that James built. That's like the original, like the Brock one. The other ones that were running are apparently original. They're not Brock A30s, but they're also because he didn't have the only A30. There were a few people eventually built up A30s as well. I don't think we saw the Hillman Imp. There was a Hillman Imp, and I was under the impression it was a reconstruction of the Harry Lafoe Imp, but it wasn't. It was one that ran earlier, but that was supposed to be there, and I don't think they got it finished. I don't think they got it finished in time, but that would be either way. That would be good because this one was powered by a 3.5 litre Rover engine, where Harry Lafoe's was originally a 289 Ford, and then later on a 5 litre, a 302 Ford. And apparently, I never saw that race, apparently, because that was sort of the prototype. That was the car that came before the Volkswagen, the Chev-powered Volkswagen. So if you can imagine a Hillman Imp with a dirty great V8 in the back seat running around. Yeah, right. Yeah, the car, the James Brock car is a replica. It's
well, they all are. The original didn't survive the era.
Yeah, so James built that. We in fact I think it's up on our I think it's up on the YouTube channel. We were out there when James brought that out and debuted it out at Sandown with Peter. Peter was out there as well, and he told us the story about sort of putting it together. And Peter Champion, who had that sort of Brock Museum, he commissioned quite a lot of replicas. He had a replica, of course, of the Bob Jane Monza, because the original was, of course, turned into a Supra originally by Brian Thompson. Then it was sold off to the Wall.
If memory serves, I think that was the Graham Whincup car, dressed up to look like the Brock car.
Not sure if it was the Whincup car. I forget
Monza.
there, but because the Whincup car is still running. That's correct.
Oh yeah. Like Stephen Voigt had that car for a while.
So that was there. There's a couple of Monzas running around. I think there's more to come. But anyway, there's lots of great sports sedans heading up. Also, speaking of historic racing, also sports sedan, more sort of local racing. I saw today a major change in local racing down here. You mentioned the 944s, but one of the other sort of more or less unique to Victoria categories in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship are the MGs and invited British sports cars. They've been, they've basically been a fixture on the Victorian State Series for as long as I can remember. And of course the MG Car Club are one of the principal sort of shareholders in the state series. They run one of the early rounds at Sandown. They've announced today that they're going to change the regulations, and it's now going to be what's called MG and invited British. But they've taken off the word sports cars, because they're going to allow touring cars in as well. So you're going to have sort of MGs and possibly, that's what they're sort of saying. They're even saying, MGs, Jaguars, Triumph Dolomites, Rovers.
Like one of the backbones of that series for at least a decade have been the MGZRs that used to be in like a Cup series, and they're touring cars. They're not sports cars.
Yeah.
So it's not that much of a stretch from where they've been for quite a while.
The funny thing about that is I spoke to someone about the regulations, and they said, but I said, how do they get in? And they said, well, they're an MG. It's for MGs, and it's if it's an MG, it can race. And I said, right. So if I win Tatslotto on Saturday night and I go over and get the MG LMP2 car that races at Le Mans, can I run that? And I went, oh, well, probably. So it'd be interesting, interesting if you had the money to do that.
They've had an MGB run in that series with a Nissan 1.8 turbo motor, I think, in it for.
You'd be restricted to parade laps while everybody else races.
Yeah.
You'd be doing parade laps in your LMP2 car while everyone else is racing, I think.
We had one of those rare as hen teeth MG X Powers show up briefly in that series too, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we did a story on it. The owner came in and spoke about. Yeah, sounds wonderful engine. Sounds terrific.
Speaking of engines, just quickly, I'm going to touch on the winter break, which lasts about 15 months. Because I'm not going to flog the dead horse of V8 supercars. There's some little bit of some Ford engine problems, I think, in the Coyote that I saw a little piece of in the last 24 hours. And the other thing is, too, just the latest development is not only they're going to put the Supra through the parity, they're going to put the other two cars through the parity again. There you go, V8 supercars, all done and dusted.
They're up this weekend.
Yeah, they're running this weekend. They're running this weekend. It's interesting to see Chaz Mostert is turning around and is basically saying, "Please come, guys, please." I like this track. Tony Quinn spent a lot of money on it. They've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of work there. Please come out and support it, and hopefully they will keep it because obviously with a Perth Street race on the way and another New Zealand round, something's got to give. And at the moment, it will be the Queensland round. But they're sort of hoping that if they could get a really big crowd turn out for it. I don't know. Some of the people are making comments on the Speed Cafe side are saying that it costs about $300 if you want to camp there. It's about $300. They're talking about $110 a day or something for tickets if you want for general admission tickets, and $70 if you want to park your car and sit and do a park and view thing. So yeah, I mean they're not making it easy to get a big crowd in terms of the money. The other interesting thing
on that one, on the same note, before you jump to the next subject, but still on supercars, I saw the tent package for Bathurst coming up for the 1000 coming up in a couple of months' time. $1,600 for a tent for a 4-day little tent thing. And
you're kidding?
No, all right. I'll send it to you in our chat as usual, and you can put it up on the screen.
Wow, that is ridiculous. I mean,
it's a couple of it's a bit of loose change short of $1,600. I'll send it to you. There we go.
I know there's a huge demand. I mean, they pushed the price up at the 12 hour because the last time I came to the 12 hour, which was before COVID. It was great value because it was about $100 for basically from Wednesday. And if you went up early enough, you could stay from Wednesday through till Monday. I went up on the Thursday, and both occasions 3 occasions I camped up there. And it was like, I think the first year it was about $90, then it went up to 100, and then up to 110. I think this year it went up to about 150. So they're whacking up the prices further and further and further, and getting out, and that's just, it's not as ridiculous as a ringside seat for the WWE event in Perth, which is coming up, which is a lazy, wait for it, $14,000.
Yeah, I did see. Yeah, you sent that. Yeah.
$14,000. And obviously, there's some people who are stupid enough to have got that sort of money to pay. Who in there right now? I mean, I enjoy my wrestling, but I'm not. Even if I had that sort of money, if you're not going to spend that much to go. Yes, I mean, there's
a captive market, and it's it's not like they can put like. 330 million people live in the United States, so there's a lot of demand for. You should see what season ticket prices go for at the NFL.
Yeah, and NBA and all the rest. Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
NBA, NBA. It's worse for NBA because their stadiums are so much smaller. Because basketball courts are, you can trip and fall over and be at the other end.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, also speaking of Bathurst 1000, Supercars have announced they are, thank God, changing that ridiculous rule which forced all of the lead drivers to start the race. They can teams can now make the decision as to who's going to race for them. So if they want, they can put their co-driver in, because some of the teams, want to get their co-drivers minimum driving time out of the way nice and early, if there's any sort of safety cars early, because everybody's a bit sort of, head up, or Skippy jumps out in front of somebody, or whatever reason. It's just they prefer to have those, and they should have that. They should have that opportunity, but it does mean that, of course, that you've got to be really careful about who your co-driver is, because obviously it's a big responsibility for them to start the race, especially when they're not, a part of the main game for all of the year, and suddenly they're starting the biggest race of the year at, not early in the morning anymore. So I suppose that's one good thing that they've got. But it's interesting because now at least you've got that option, and you'll get that sort of thing where you'll see some really good racing amongst some of the co-drivers and some of the young drivers, some of the veterans like the Garth Tanders and Craig Land and all those people. But you'll also see, like some of the teams will run their main driver and
try and make early progress. Yeah,
make early progress. So it really does add a little bit to the race, because there's very little sort of like strategy in the race. It's basically a 1,000k sprint race now, so at least you've got that option of having a little bit of strategy there that they took away for a while. And I know why they did it. They did it basically probably for television, and they wanted to have all the big names, but. Yeah.
There was one year where there was a controversy where almost all the reserve drivers started the race, and I think it was Sandown rather than Bathurst that this happened, and there was a number of incidents over that first stint in the race, and
which is great.
It just came down that everyone said, no, this is ridiculous. Why have we got all the co-drivers in when this sort of stuff happens? So their knee-jerk reaction to that was
you got to pick the right co-drivers. I mean, that's the thing. You got to have. Roy saying, "Wish that Super 2 was allowed in the 1,000." Yeah, that would make.
Well, they are. More. See, this is one of the biggest furphies around about this 1,000. Super 2s are allowed to run in the 1,000, but the problem that the Super 2 teams have is that the Super 2 teams run drivers who are co-drivers in the big teams in the main race.
I don't think that's right. As far as I know, they are not allowed to run Super. It's only the main game and 2 wild cards. That's the limitation, that they're not allowed to run the Super 2s anymore.
No, three wild cards.
Yeah, okay.
3 wild cards.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough actually, because with the massive change of specification to the current cars, I had forgotten that, so my bad.
Well,
That
they might
the
actually
new
embarrass them because in some places the Super
yes,
Two
that's
cars
right.
are actually faster because they've got more power and more downforce.
Well, and that was intentional. They wanted
Yes.
the part of the new the current supercar regs that came in last year was to make the cars slower, and so yeah. But back to the point I was trying to make was that Super Two teams with a with a main game level car. They don't have their drive because the drivers that they run all season then go on and be co-drivers for the big teams in the race, so they don't have a driver to run in the Bathurst 1000.
And that's the good thing about having those guys start because you see them. We saw Kai Allen and a couple of those drivers, sort of, over the years who they start and they're up against a lot of the main game sort of people, and they're up there and they're more than competitive. They're up there in the top 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and it makes people go, oh, hang on, this kid is good. I mean, let's because it's very hard to compare them when they're in the sort of Super Two. They're all racing each other. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, he seems to be talented, but that's in perhaps when he moves up to the big category as they call it, they might it might be a jump of talent that they don't make. But if you put them in and they do really well at both, well now it's going to be the at the Bend
Hmm.
and Bathurst. You can sort of look on and say, well, hang on, no, that guy is very good, and we need to get them into the main game.
Well, yeah. Well, it's been. I mean, it's a well trodden path, and like you go back to, we made mention about Chas Mostert about 10, 15 minutes ago. This is how he got like he's come up through there as well. Like he was the old Howard Group team. They ran his Formula Ford. They had a Super Two at one point, and they got him extra laps, and that built him up into the point where he became an attractive option. I think in the end for FPR, and of course his second attempt to start the race, he ended up winning it in one of the well, not one of the most dramatic Bathurst 1000 in history.
I think
Well,
Jared's also made the point that Chart has been denied a wild card
mm,
with Elliot Barber again, and once again that's a problem that they seem to be very good at restricting both teams and drivers in terms of who they let in and who they don't let in. They certainly seem to be playing favourites with a lot of these wild cards. I think they should be more wild cards. I think if you're going to have wild cards, let's instead of having two, or I think they're allowed two, or whether it's three or whatever.
That's
I
it,
think they should be
three.
allowed. They should be allowed pretty much,
At their discretion, though. Up to three at their
it's
discretion.
three or yeah. Well, I think more than that. I mean, encourage, and
well, there doesn't
I'm
seem to
sure
be
they'd
that
fit
much.
someone.
There doesn't seem to be that much interest from the competitor group.
Well, they can't get
Well,
the cars for a start.
Well,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah.
part of it. But
The,
yeah, mind you, we've had a couple of instances where teams have gone to great lengths to acquire a car to run. Like we had that whole situation with Anderson Motorsport 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, where they went and got hold of a current spec car in order to run, but then their entry was held up for other reasons. So yeah, it's but they we've got they've got that 2 or 3 wildcard options, and it's not being taken up every year. There just doesn't seem to be that great an interest from the competitor group to make that effort to find that budget to run the 1000. It's rare that all of the wildcard positions are taken up.
But under those circumstances, then the fact that they actually refuse, like is just is crazy. I think that's an interesting one from Box. Is just saying like perhaps next year because we'll have three manufacturers. Next year's wildcard should be one car from each mark. That would
Well,
make
again, you've got to
sense.
find a team that wants to do it.
that's okay. If they don't want to do it, they don't do it. But if you could find, perhaps like to one of the Toyota teams could, depending on what the what the date was, they might say, okay, we can get perhaps a couple of our WEC drivers down there for to have a bit of a run around. That might be interesting, or perhaps one of our perhaps a couple of our super. Yeah, a couple of our super GT drivers. So that I think that would make sense.
There you go. So it's obviously not exactly from supercars themselves, but it's a supercars affiliated product from has to be approved from this particular company. So there it is, $1,600 for
a 4-day. Oh, that's just not the
That's not officially from them, but it's obviously an approved company and product, though. They can.
Oh yeah, they've just bought out. They've just bought out spots. A bit like sort of at Le Mans with you've got
but still, there you go, $1,600 for a 4-day tent, and you get a pit lane walk.
Yeah, I said, well, I don't know, like that might include the tent as well. As I said, for Le Mans,
glamping,
yeah. Well, I said for Le Mans, you've got I think the glamping place. I think that was with and I forget the name now. But they used to be with Radio Le Mans. But Melissa stayed there with Nissan, and the glamping package for there was for Le Mans was about £5,500. So that was but apparently it was very nice. But it was a really it was it was fantastic. She said it was wonderful. It was being there, just walking back to your glamping tent, and being there for the whole of the race. So that's the good thing about camping for events like the 1000 and particularly the 12-hour is you're not driving back and forwards to town all the time. You don't have to get up ridiculously early and get into a queue to get in there. You're just there, and I mean, as soon as the cars hit the track, you roll out of your cot and you stagger out onto the next to the track, and you watch them go around. It's a great way to go watching motor racing, I think.
You can kill that screen if you want, Brett. It's blank now.
Okay, no.
That's offline.
Oh, that was the photo. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Very good. Let's quickly, Miles. I'll just jump on the Suzuka 8-hour that Brett's going along the ticker. Yeah. He forgot the most amusing part of the result on it, but so I'll just run over the top of it. Congratulations to Johan Zarco and Takahashi. I think it's the 40. What was it? The 46 running of it. I have to double check what it was. Just quickly looking. 31st victory for Honda, but yeah, it was the 46 run of the Suzuka 8-hour. Great endurance race. It's one of those ones that you like at WEC. You wish you'd have if the Formula One drivers were on holidays or allowed to drive in it. But in this particular case, there's no restrictions, and the MotoGP riders or World Superbike riders, anyone can ride in it if you want, as long as you meet all the requirements and stay within the track limits and of course the numbers that are allowed. So well done to the Honda crew, which don't get many accolades these days because they're not going so well in MotoGP. And a huge congrats to Jack Miller as well too. He and the Yami team got second. However, I know I told you, Roy. It's definitely you're laughing your Zach Brown tattooed ass off. Absolutely. On my week at X1200. The most important result, though, at Suzuka 8-hour was the Mario Kart team that got third. I think that's the name of them. What's it called? Yeah. Zamario and Yoshi got third. Sorry, Yoshimura's team. It's the Suzuki team. Sorry, Suzuki team got third. Just having a bit of a joke there with it. So Suzuki's definitely have been out of MotoGP. Still rule themselves out completely. Whatsoever, don't want to enter it, not interested, don't want to throw the budget at whatever it may be. So, well done to those guys, the Yoshimura team, the Mario Kart team that got third. Otherwise, yeah, watch the highlights.
Shout out to Troy Bayliss.
In hospital.
Unfortunate incident at Brands Hatch, I think it was, and Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look good. He posted photos of himself from the hospital, and he's pretty banged up. The poor fellow. He
He's
was.
probably had worse. He just probably took the
I think
worst
it's what
case scenario.
I think it's like what 7 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and plus all his whole side of his body is bruised very badly, and
Knowing
yeah.
Troy, he'll be racing again in a week.
Well, that's the thing with a lot of them. I mean, you see them, and it's like that some of the comebacks from them are
Yeah, he
ridiculous.
doesn't
But
have to though.
no, he
That
doesn't.
doesn't have to, and yeah, gives himself a little bit of a fright and back to reality as well too.
Yeah, so good because he's a really nice guy, Troy Bales.
He
We
is.
had him on the show a few times over the years when he was
We
running
didn't we
superbikes
run into
and.
him a little while ago too at whatever track you and I were chatting to him. I think I can't remember. There not that long ago, a few years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be a few years ago now. Incidentally, speaking just let's getting back onto four wheels. Mentioned enduros and all the rest of it. Brody Kostecki and Paul Morris, the dude, teaming up for the Trans Am, the TA2 Enduro that's coming up your way, Jonesy, and. Also, Craig Lowndes is there. Quite a few of the supercar drivers. That's looking like it's going to be a
Handlers.
really, really big race.
Oh yeah, this is looking absolutely fascinating. I'm super looking forward to it. Um, I just from a personal note, I hope to get the opportunity to call the race. Um, oh, okay.
Yes, that was
Sorry, Akers,
somewhere
I got that
here.
mixed up. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm very, very much hoping I get the opportunity to call this enduro coming up for the TA2s. But oh, they but we get some fascinating names pop up here in southeast at Queensland Raceway for enduros for XL Cup. So I guess it's just an extension of that sort of thing where guest stars come from everywhere. It seems
You
to
used
pop
to
up
have
into our enduro, and we've got Fight in the Night not that far off as well, which is I guess another our little Queensland Raceway enduro of note and of legend.
Yeah, well, you used to have that with the Winton 3 hour for the HQs. You'd often have sort of big name drivers sort of pop across. It was at the end of the year. You don't see it quite as often nowadays, but they do get that opportunity. I remember at one stage we were talking about I'd said about the possibility of having a 24-hour HQ race out at Calder Park using the international circuit, as they call it, sort of taking in the Thunderdome as well. And I was talking with Craig Lowndes, and Lowndes just went, "I'm there. I am there. Yes, definitely. Yes, make it happen. I'm there."
Uh, that was absolutely. And on the subject of enduros, Formula One isn't the only international championship with an Australian at the top of the point score now. The latest round of the IMSA GTP championship was on at Road America up on the Canadian border, and it ended up with a 1-2 for BMW in their M hybrid V8s, and with Honda third, one of the Cadillacs fourth, and fifth place Matt was Matt Campbell and Matt Gemini in the leading Porsche. The other Porsche, Felipe Nasr and Nick Tandy car, was well down the order. They lost quite a few laps early on, and they were the points leading car. And now, because they effectively finished last amongst the GDP cars, the two Matts have overtaken them, the two Porsches at the top of the point score. So with BMWs coming home with a bit of a wet sail and Chargers as they come to the end of their program in the US, there's been a breakup between BMW and the Rahal Lanigan Letterman team.
Yeah, it's a bit
that
strange
runs
that one, isn't it? I
BMWs.
mean, they've been very successful there, and yet they've broken up there. Now they've said that they will continue in IMSA, but just not with Rahal, Lanigan, etc., etc.
Yeah,
So
well, they've gone
I'm
through
not
the
sure,
same. They've gone through the same issue that Cadillac did, where when they broke up with Chip Ganassi and
Yeah.
then reorganized themselves with the Taylors in the US and in Europe with
But I don't think that's been
Jota.
particularly successful. I mean, Ganassi was doing a pretty good
Well,
job
it's been a step up in Europe, but a step back in the
back
US.
in the US.
Like their last start winners in the World Endurance Championship, a 1-2 result for Hertz Team Jota Cadillacs at
I
the
must
Six Hours
admit,
of Sao Paulo.
I was over at Fountain Gate today, and they've got the shop over there, Games World, with lots of the die cast cars, and they had a large die cast model of the of that BMW that won the race, or probably the WEC version. Looks really good. I was looking at it and going, "Oh,
WRT, Valentino Rossi's team, WRT run the World Endurance BMW
yeah,
program.
the BMW." But they had the car. They also had through the Ferraris, the three Ferraris as they raced at Le Mans. So there's a few models, a few of those models.
I go there
out
every
and,
time I go to FG, Brett. I was only there twice in the last month as well too. I look at the truck show up in the corner as well too. So
Yeah, they've got a couple of Formula 5000. I thought they'd stop because they had a while ago. There was a few Formula 5000 models, and I was very keen if I could have afforded to have had pretty much any of them, but they're very expensive. I was looking at the Matic A50. There was also the Matic A53 as John Goss won the Australian Grand Prix with. I was also waiting for them. I never saw it there, but there was also a model coming out of Warwick Brown's Target Lola, which I was really keen to get hold of if I'd have had the money and all the rest. But now they've got a Graham Lawrence Lola T332, and also got the ex John Walker Magnum Lola T332C, which has got the full sort of bodywork on it. Which and both of them look fantastic. So some really nice cars, but they're about they're about $500 or $600. I mean, the car I drove over there to doesn't cost $500, let alone sort of something I take home in a little box.
Doc's dad's Christmas present comes from there every year, so he gets his truck. I order my truck, limited edition truck, from there quite regularly. I have Dad's Christmas present already sitting in the corner of the lounge room right now, so I can show you. So I go there every week. So
few old school sports sedans there as well. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen there's models for like Thompson's Volkswagen amongst others.
They're made locally. The guy who makes those is absolutely brilliant. He has them on display. I'm sure they were up at when Phil probably saw them up there, but he does an amazing job of those cars. They're a limited edition, and they're not cheap. I spoke to him like a couple of times. We're going to talk to him he wasn't keen. He's very quiet, and I said, if we could I'd like to do an interview, and he went, rather not. Just do what because as he said, it's not a business. He said it's a labour of love. He builds each one by hand, and they are absolutely spectacularly good. You have a look at them. They're not the full size. They're a little bit smaller, about sort of 143 or something like that. But they're a fabulous recreation of the original cars. I mean, the intent and the detail is just extraordinary with them.
I'm just going to do a quick thing. I was looking at some of the stuff that we've been talking about in the last hour. We've just ticked over an hour and 1 minute. And it's not usually a cup of tea, but it was really fun watching it because one of the venue, which is probably the best one of all, and they usually hold it off, but it was over in London. It was the indoor/outdoors parts circuit. It was around the stadium. And funnily enough, it was the Formula E. And the reason why it was exciting, a lot more than usual for the electric powered cars was
they caught fire.
No, not this time. Sorry, disappointed you. No, it's because of the quality of the drivers there. You've got Wehrlein, you've got Johnny Brown, you've got Cassidy, you've got Buemi. I mean, they'll probably get paid a fortune. They're all these drivers. But the thing is, the circuit that they use at the stadium over there in London, such a closed course, it's the shortest circuit on the calendar, and they just go hammer and tong each other. It was cracking. And, of course, they're all quality drivers, so it was quite lots and lots of fun. So,
Equivalent of the open wheel equivalent of the NASCAR Bullring.
Yeah, very much.
Anyway,
very much
so
so.
I just if you're going to watch any of them, just watch the London one.
And
Nick
Nick Cassidy, incidentally, now that Formula E is over, Nick Cassidy will be driving for Peugeot in the next round of the World Endurance Championship at Circuit of the Americas, coming up the Lone Star 6 hour coming up. So Nick Cassidy, the New Zealand driver, very talented New Zealand driver, and yet another one is going to be there and racing that. Hey, listen, that's I think that's all we've got time for this week. We've sort of been waffling on for an hour or so. It's time for me to have my lasagna and go to
my hot cup of Milo's finished too.
There you go. Paul's got the Harrop, the EH model. I haven't seen the Harrop EH. That's another one that I would really like. And apparently the rebuild of that is coming along very slowly. But unfortunately, it's not going to be built to the Harrop specs. It's going to be rebuilt to the Wayne Mankin version, which is with the turbocharged 6-cylinder. And Stuart Douglas has that particular car. He bought that as Taz Douglas's father. Stuart apparently has that. Apparently has that car in one of his garages somewhere, and is slowly but surely sort of tweaking it up and getting it back because Stuart raced the car after Wayne got rid of it. So I'd love to see it back in the original Ron Harrop livery. In fact, I spoke to Ron about it a while. I said, any chance of you sort of putting in? He said, no, he wants too much. And as Ron said, he said, I've got enough to do with his Harrop's Howl, or the drag car, the original FJ that made him famous. He's bought that back again, and they were rebuilding that to get it back on the track, but it sort of wound back a bit. Last time I spoke to him, he's like a lot of us. The time is there's lots to do and so little time, and just hasn't been able to get it up and running. It still looks amazing, but anyway. Okay, we will see you. Hopefully next week on the program. Might have a stay tuned. Now at some stage, I will have the stuff from Sandown. I was saying to Roy on a private message the other day, it's been wonderful that I don't have to sit in front of this damn computer for hours and hours on end, editing and doing all of those sorts of things. And I started on it, and I just went, no, I just don't want to do this. So, we might take a break next week, depending on what. Although we will have supercars to talk about, we'll see what happens. So stay tuned to the Facebook page. That'll be all the updates. And if you haven't done so yet, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. By the way, great week, fabulous weekend, or fabulous Sunday out at Calder Park for drag racing and roll racing. Numbers down a little bit, but we did have. We did have Geordie Stefanovic there. I think that's his last name, but from South Australia in the pink Lamborghini. Nothing.
It's not nothing. Is that the same Lamborghini drag car from 20, 30
No,
years?
This is basically a sort of a very modified road car, which was totally unbeatable, was cruising through at over 280 kilometres per hour in the roll racing, and just running away from all sorts of things. Nissans and Audis with 1,500 horse. I don't know how much horsepower this thing's got, but all-wheel drive Lamborghini just blasting away and taking an easy win. But I must say, thank you to Geordie for at the end of the day. I was talking to a father, and he had his couple of kids there, and we'd been giving away some stuff during the day, and the kids had come up, and we'd given them a few little things like stickers and all that sort of stuff. And there were a couple of young girls. They're probably no older.
Hopefully no tattoo vouchers. But anyway,
no, that's it. Well, I did mention that we were going to have a competition. It was going to be a battle to the death, and they weren't keen on that. But anyway, apart from that. They'd had a great day out, and when they were talking to me as we were leaving, and they saw the Lamborghini getting loaded onto the getting ready to be loaded onto the trailer again, and they were very excited. Oh, we want to take a photo with the Lamborghini? I went and put some stuff away in the office in the scrutineering bay. Came out again, and when I came out, the girls are in the car, in the Lamborghini. The dad is absolutely thrilled. And the smile on the face of these kids.
Didn't do a lap of the paddock out the back for the kids to go hanging out the windows.
No, probably not. Might not have been the most sensible thing to do, but
just at low speeds.
But yeah, but they were just they were sitting there. One of them was behind the wheel, and they were just in this pink Lamborghini. You could tell it was the biggest, most exciting thing that has probably ever happened to them. They were just so happy. So, and that's one of the things that's really great about the sport. So if you're a competitor at all and you've got kids hanging around and you've got the opportunity to sort of say, would you like to sit in the car? Please do it, because it could make those kids, those two girls are probably going to be fans for the rest of their life, if there's any chance, because they were on in heaven. So congratulations to Julie.
So it was they were Natalie Cole, pink Cadillac. There you go.
Yeah, well, pink Lamborghini, and it's called its personalised number plate's a Miss Lamborghini.
I just discovered something though, because I've always been obviously Natalie. I didn't realise Bruce Springsteen did a cover of it. We'll just move on from that.
Well, there you go. Bruce Springsteen's done covers of every bloody thing.
At least he's done some original stuff too. But
he has. Yeah. No, he's a great editor.
He's done a cover of Pink Cadillac. We'll just leave that alone. I'm just going to throw that one in the dustpan.
Okay, so we'll catch up with you whenever we catch up with you. And we'll see you next week. So until then, see you later, everybody. And as I say in the classics,